The rain was coming down in sheets, hammering against the roof of Liam's small house on the edge of Viridia 9. The wind howled through the sparse trees, and the distant hills disappeared into gray clouds. Liam had always liked the quiet of this remote settlement, away from the chaos of the central colonies. His life was simple. He spent his days repairing machines, maintaining his home, and occasionally helping neighbors with tools or minor engineering problems. He was used to solitude and had learned to enjoy it. But tonight something unexpected would change everything. As Liam was preparing his dinner, he heard a frantic knocking at the door. At first he thought it was just the storm, making noises against the wooden panels. But the knocks came again, more urgent, almost desperate. He wiped his hands on a towel and went to the door. Standing there were two young alien girls and a frail elderly figure who seemed barely able to stand. The rain drenched them, soaking through their light garments. The girls' skin glowed faintly in the dim light like thin layers of crystal, and their large eyes shone with fear and exhaustion. The older woman shivered violently, coughing weakly. Liam felt a jolt of concern. "Hello?" he called softly, unsure how to speak to them. Their voices, when they spoke, were strange, musical, and impossible to fully understand. But he could tell they were asking for help. The older woman leaned heavily on one of the girls and groaned softly, a sound that cut through Liam's hesitation. Without thinking too much about the risk, Liam opened the door wider. "Come inside, quickly." He stepped back and ushered them into the small foyer. Water dripped from their clothes onto the floor, and the cold air from outside mixed with the warmth of his home. He grabbed towels and blankets, wrapping the older woman first. "Are you hurt?" he asked, though he knew words would only get them so far. The girls pointed to the woman's chest and stomach, then made a weak motion like they couldn't breathe. Liam frowned, realizing that she was very ill. He led them into his living area, making a small bed for the grandmother on the couch. He took off his jacket and handed it to one of the girls to wrap around the other. The storm continued outside, but inside Liam's focus narrowed entirely to helping these strangers. "I need to help her," he said aloud, as much to himself as to them. He rummaged through his small medical kit, finding antiseptics, bandages, and basic medicine. The girls hovered nearby, watching him carefully. Liam noticed their hands. They were delicate, almost fragile, but their fingers twitched slightly, and tiny sparks of light shimmered between their fingertips. He frowned, unsure if it was a trick of the storm's lightning or something else entirely. He cleaned the grandmother's face, applied some medicine to her lips, and tried to make her comfortable. She coughed again, weakly, and Liam placed a hand on her forehead. Her skin was cool to the touch. His heart tightened. He knew she could not survive long in her current state without help. The girls, Lyra and Neela, stood silently. Every so often they made gestures pointing to a small satchel they carried. Inside were some plants and liquids Liam didn't recognize. He realized they were offering him help, though he did not understand the details. With cautious curiosity, he mixed the liquids into a makeshift poultice and applied it to Cora, the grandmother. She closed her eyes and relaxed slightly as if the pain was easing. Hours passed like minutes. Liam had not eaten, not rested, and had only spoken in simple phrases to try to reassure them. The storm raged outside, but inside the house there was an unusual calm. Liam began to notice small things. The glow of the girl's skin pulsed softly in response to Cora's breathing, and the air seemed warmer and lighter, almost alive. It was subtle, barely noticeable, but he felt it. By midnight, the grandmother stirred, opening her eyes slowly. They were milky, almost translucent, and filled with a strange intelligence. She looked at Liam, and for a moment a faint smile crossed her lips. She reached out a trembling hand, and Liam held it gently. Despite her weakness, there was gratitude in that gesture, a silent acknowledgement of his effort. The girls huddled near her, whispering softly in their strange language. Liam didn't understand the words, but he could feel the emotion: relief, hope, and cautious optimism. He sat back exhausted and watched them. Something about this family, fragile and lost, moved him deeply. As the storm began to ease, Liam stepped outside briefly to check the sky. Rain still fell in light sheets, but the clouds were breaking, revealing streaks of morning light. That was when he noticed it, a faint shimmer around his house, like the air itself was alive. The girls were standing near the door, their eyes glowing in the dim light, and he realized their presence was not just physical. Something about them interacted with the world around them. He walked closer, curious and cautious. Tiny sparks of light hovered around his fingers when he reached out. Small plants near the doorway seemed to lean toward him, as if recognizing a new energy. Liam's heart raced. He had never seen anything like this, and though he did not understand it, he felt connected somehow, as if his own life had been intertwined with these strangers in ways he could not yet comprehend. By dawn, Cora's breathing had stabilized. She opened her eyes fully and looked at Liam again. For a moment their eyes met, and he sensed a depth of intelligence and history far beyond human understanding. The girls smiled faintly, their glow steady now, as if reassured that their grandmother was safe. Liam looked around his small home. Nothing seemed ordinary anymore. The walls, the air, even the soil outside felt different, energized in a way he could not explain. He realized that his simple act of kindness, opening his door to strangers, had triggered something powerful, something that could change not only his life, but the lives of others around him. Lyra reached out her hand and Liam hesitated, then took it. A warm sensation spread through him, a quiet hum in his chest like an echo of the storm but gentler. Neela joined, and for a moment the three of them, the sisters and Cora, formed a small circle with him. The light around them intensified, but it was not frightening. It felt safe, alive, and full of possibility. Liam sat back, breathless, and watched the sunrise. The storm was over, and the world felt different. The house was the same, yet changed. The garden outside, once sparse and struggling, showed signs of new growth. Liam realized slowly that something extraordinary had begun. His life, once quiet and predictable, had been pulled into an event that no human had ever experienced. He turned to the sisters and Cora, seeing them not just as visitors or helpless strangers, but as beings of immense importance, and he understood deep in his heart that by helping them, he had set in motion a chain of events that would ripple far beyond his quiet home on Viridia 9. Liam smiled faintly, exhausted but filled with a strange energy. He knew one thing for certain. By morning, his life had already changed forever, and yet he had no idea how far these changes would go, or the challenges and wonders that awaited him. Liam woke to the soft hum of sunlight filtering through the windows. For a moment he thought he was still dreaming. The morning was quiet, calm, and warm in a way he had never felt before. The storm from the previous night had passed completely, leaving the air fresh and clean. But as he looked around, he realized that this morning was unlike any other. Cora, the grandmother, was awake and sitting up on the couch, her breathing steady and her eyes clear. The two sisters, Lyra and Neela, were kneeling beside her, softly moving their hands over her arms and chest in small, rhythmic motions. Liam noticed faint glimmers of light tracing patterns across their skin. The glow seemed to respond to the grandmother's breathing, rising and falling like a gentle tide. He approached slowly, unsure what to say. "Good morning," he said softly. Cora turned her gaze toward him and nodded faintly. There was a deep understanding in her eyes, something ancient and powerful that Liam could not explain. Lyra reached out her hand toward him, and without fully understanding why, Liam placed his hand in hers. A warm pulse ran through him, stronger than the simple sensation of touch. He felt a subtle vibration in the air around him, like an energy that connected him, the sisters and the grandmother in a single thread. He stumbled slightly, startled by the strength of it. Neela spoke, her voice soft and musical. He did not understand the words, but the meaning was clear. Their grandmother had been very ill, and by helping her, he had awakened something important in all of them. Liam frowned, trying to piece it together. "Awakened what?" he asked, though he knew they would not answer in words he understood. The sisters exchanged glances and then gestured toward the corner of the room, where a small console from their damaged shuttle hummed softly. Liam followed their gaze and saw that the device had activated overnight. Strange symbols glowed on its surface, and the hum of energy filled the room. He could feel it in his chest, like a resonance matching the rhythm of his heartbeat. Cautiously, Liam approached the console. As he laid a hand on it, streams of light flowed along his arm, bright but not painful. The girl's eyes widened, and the grandmother gave a small nod, as if approving what was happening. Liam realized that this was not ordinary technology. It was alive in a sense, responsive to emotion, intent, and trust. Over the next few hours, he learned to experiment carefully. When he focused his mind on the console, the hum would rise or fall. When he gestured toward a small plant in the corner, it leaned slightly, following his movement. Liam's heart raced. He was not just witnessing alien technology. He was interacting with an entirely new kind of energy, one that could heal, grow, and perhaps do far more than he understood. The sisters observed silently, occasionally guiding his hands or correcting his posture. Slowly, Liam realized that their energy was connected to the grandmother's life force. By saving her, he had unlocked a dormant potential in the girls, and now that potential flowed through him as well. He could sense it, not just see it. The room felt alive, almost breathing in unison with their hearts. By midday, the basic understanding of the energy became clearer. Liam tried something small. He focused on a broken tool on the table. The light from the console surged and the metal bent and twisted on its own until the tool was whole again. He stared in disbelief. It was impossible, yet undeniably true. The sisters smiled faintly, their glow steady, as if to say, "Yes, you are learning." Lyra then gestured toward the kitchen, where he had left a cup of water. The cup lifted slightly in the air, moving toward him as though following his thought. Liam's jaw dropped. The energy was responding not just to touch, but to his will. He tried to remain calm, testing his control carefully, moving small objects around the room. Each success built confidence, but also awe. This power was beyond anything humanity had ever known. Cora watched silently, her breathing calm and steady. Liam realized that her life, fragile as it had been, was now intertwined with this energy. If anything happened to her, the flow might stop, and the results could be unpredictable. His sense of responsibility deepened. He was no longer a simple engineer in a quiet house. He was a guardian, chosen by circumstances beyond his understanding. The afternoon sun was bright, but Liam hardly noticed. The sisters began to guide him further, showing gestures and motions that enhanced his control. He discovered that when he concentrated on healing small injuries, cuts on his hands or scratches on the plant leaves closed almost instantly. When he focused on mechanical objects, repairs occurred almost magically. It was as if the world itself responded to the combination of his intent and the sisters' latent power. Hours passed quickly. Liam realized he had not eaten or rested, but he did not feel exhaustion in the same way. The energy flowing through him seemed to strengthen his body, sharpen his senses, and clear his mind. Even the air outside felt vibrant, and the settlement nearby seemed subtly changed. Faint hints of growth in barren areas, minor repairs to buildings, small streams of energy visible only to him. Late afternoon brought unexpected visitors. Small drones from distant Viridian colonies hovered near his house, scanning. The sisters tensed, their glow flickering with concern. Liam's heart pounded. These drones were not hostile yet, but he understood they represented a higher authority. Some Viridians distrusted humans and his actions. His choice to help the sisters might now be scrutinized. Lyra and Neela exchanged urgent gestures. Liam understood the essence of the message. He had to prove he could handle the energy responsibly. He concentrated, focusing on the grandmother on the room and even on himself. The drones paused mid-air as if sensing his calm intention. Slowly they lowered and hovered silently, observing rather than attacking. Liam realized the responsibility was enormous. The energy he now shared with the sisters could heal or harm, depending on intent and control. Yet, he also understood something else. His kindness, his willingness to help those in need without expectation, had created trust. The energy responded not just to skill, but to the purity of action. This was humanity's strength, he thought, compassion. By evening, Cora was fully stable, sitting upright with the support of her granddaughters. Liam had spent the day learning, practicing, and discovering the bond that connected them. He felt a deep connection to the sisters, not just emotional but energetic, as if their lives and his were now part of a larger web. The sisters led him outside. The night air was cool and crisp. Liam noticed the garden, once sparse and struggling, now vibrant with growth. Small plants glowed faintly, responding to the ambient energy. He realized that the world around him had changed in subtle but undeniable ways. He had not only saved lives, he had activated potential that could influence the environment itself. For a long moment, the four of them stood together, looking at the sky. Stars twinkled above, but even they seemed to shine differently, brighter, sharper, as if acknowledging the new energy in the world. Liam felt a sense of awe and responsibility unlike anything he had experienced. His quiet life, once predictable and simple, had been transformed overnight. Lyra took his hand again, and this time, Neela mirrored the gesture. The grandmother rested her hand lightly on Liam's shoulder. A warm pulse ran through him, steady and reassuring. It was a bond, a connection that transcended language, species, and experience. Liam realized that they were now a family, not by blood, but by trust, courage, and shared purpose. Night deepened. Liam returned inside, exhausted yet invigorated. He had discovered abilities within himself he never imagined, learned the existence of a power beyond human understanding, and forged a bond with beings from another world. The house, once quiet and solitary, now felt alive with energy and hope. Before lying down, he glanced at the sisters and Cora. Lyra and Neela were whispering softly to each other, their glow dim but steady, while Cora watched him with a faint, proud smile. Liam felt a sense of purpose he had never known. By helping strangers, he had unlocked not only a new life for them, but a new potential within himself and, perhaps for humanity. As he drifted to sleep, Liam thought of the morning, when a simple act of kindness had changed everything. He knew challenges awaited. They would need to navigate the trust of distant Viridian colonies, learn to fully control the energy, and understand its limits. But he also knew this. Compassion had brought him here, and it would guide him forward. Outside, the garden glowed softly, the plants shimmering with gentle light. Inside, the small house hummed with energy, alive in ways only Liam could perceive. And in that moment, as the stars twinkled above, the human engineer understood that his ordinary life had become extraordinary. The galaxy had shifted subtly but irrevocably, and he was at the center of it. By helping the alien sisters and their grandmother, Liam had not only saved lives, he had opened the door to a future filled with possibility, adventure, and a profound connection between species. And as he slept, the energy around him pulsed in quiet harmony, whispering promises of what was yet to come. Liam's life, once quiet and predictable, was now forever changed. He was no longer just a human living alone on the edge of a settlement. He was a guardian, a bridge between worlds, and the dawn of a new era was just beginning.